Welcome to the Primitive Camping and Bushcraft podcast. I'm your host, Chris Speir. So here, we're going to talk about gear, grit, and the kind of stories you only get around a fire. It's all about learning, adapting, and keeping your faith strong. So whether you're a seasoned outdoorsman or just looking to unplug and reconnect, you're in the right place. So pull up a chair by the fire and let's get into it.
All right, guys, welcome back. I'm out here at Camp What the Heck, and it is a hot mid-afternoon day. I don't have any fire rolling in the pit today. It's too hot for all that stuff. I do have the old Jerry fan over here blowing, and the topic today is all about this little substance inside this blue Nalgene. Oh, some good old water. So I'm nestled away up underneath the tarp down here at Camp What the Heck, and I'm trying to catch some shade. And this heat's just bearing down. I got the sweat pouring on me. I'm just sticky with hot sweat and nasty. You don't have to do anything, and your shirt just sticks to you. You know what I'm talking about when you've been sweaty so bad? It's like in South Mississippi, you open the door and you're drenched. I saw a guy do a video on TikTok or Reels or one of those shorts or whatever. And he said, all right, we're going to go to church now. And he opened up the door and they said it was like a bucket of water poured on top of him. And I was like, that was funny. That is the way South Mississippi is whenever it is in the middle of the summer. Golly. So anyway, I got the book, The Primitive Camping and Bushcraft, right here. And head over to your favorite online retailer and go ahead and pick you up a copy that we're going to go by, and we're pretty much still following along. We're all in the water section of this thing today. And also swing by Facebook, join the group Primitive Camping and Bushcraft, and we'll open up the discussions about all kinds of stuff. We got stuff going on in there all the time, people talking, posting pictures of the camping trips, and it's great times, great people. It's a great group to be a part of. So years ago, and I probably talked about this before, I don't recall, so this is like 50 some odd episodes into it, but my brother and I, we went on a trip, and as Ranger's back there trying to heave up some bark off of a tree he just chewed on, but my brother and I went on a trip, and we called it our quote unquote or end quote. I've been doing that a lot. Quote, end quote, whatever, with the little fingers flared up, going back and forth like the little rabbit ears, and like, hey, quote unquote. And for those of you watching the video, you'll understand, you'll see what I'm doing. But we decided we was going to do a survival trip. So we drive up to this place, and it was like a little island. It had a creek all the way around it, a Yellow Creek, I think the name of it was, and it had a little tributary that comes around and then it meets the main creek again on the backside of that piece of property. Well, we figured that would be the perfect place to go try out a survival trip. So we get out there and drive the hour or whatever it was from here to go up there and do it. And the water was flooded. The water was up above the access, so we had to swim across a flooded creek with our gear. We stripped down to our underdrawers and walked across this creek. The water was, I guess it was chest high, holding all our stuff above our heads, keeping it dry. I'm sitting here reminiscing. He and I have done trips like that several times where we had to cross creeks, holding all our stuff up above us while we were walking. Anyway, we get across there. We get back there, start setting up everything. The sun was starting to go down. It was late in the evening before we even got to start. get the sun out there going down, and we start putting up our camp, building our camp as fast as we can before the light went out. We could hear the rushing water from the creek flowing by. It was actually a little too high for us to be out there, but we were still doing it anyway. It was one of those, too late now. So as we started putting our camp together, we was sweating. It was late August, early September. It was late. It was hot. It was hot in South Mississippi. And we were sweating. And the only way we could cool off was to go get back down in the water. But a little bit later, we got to the point where, hey, it was time to get something to drink. We didn't bring any water with us. We didn't bring anything. What we brought with us was one of those cool Army hand pump water filters, little compact little things. It was maybe 3 inches by 4, and little small little things, the little ultralight, cool looking, smooth. I don't know any more adjectives or any other way to describe this thing. But we filled up a container, dropped a little hose down in there, and started pumping. And we got maybe 2 or 3 squirts into it. And that little thing clogged up. I was like, this is crazy. It's supposed to be good for 200 and something gallons. Well, my brother, he decides, hey, I got mine. We'll use mine too. And so he goes, and we do the same thing. And 2 or 3 pumps later, it clogs up. Now, mind you, these are small little personal water filters. It wasn't like a Sawyer or a Life Straw or anything of the such. We had the great idea, well, let's go ahead and try to boil some water. So we did. The water was hot, it was nasty and gritty, and it was just a horrible experience. And this was one of our first quote unquote, whatever you want to call it, survival trips. And this was years and years ago now. This is what got us really into bushcraft, because when we got out there and this happened, we had to learn. So we gave up. It was late. We went to bed. Now, sometime through the night, a little bit after midnight or something like that, I had a massive headache. My brother Aaron, he had a massive headache. And you start to show the signs of dehydration. And it don't take long here in Mississippi, and when you're sweating constantly. But it was a little after midnight, late in the evening, late at night, I guess, early in the morning, that a storm come through. And boy, when that rain started hitting that tarp, the both of us jumped up and was drinking as much water as we could off of that tarp. We scrambled. We set up pots, bottles, everything that we could find. I had a garbage can liner, and we ended up using that. And we remembered whenever we was walking around that day, scout and looking for spots, we saw an empty bucket or something that had a hole in it or something like that. And so we brought it over and put that liner in there and just let it fill up with water. And that was our fresh drinking water for the trip. And looking back at it, it was great. But it wasn't the best or smartest decision because we'd sit up underneath a tongue nut tree, and they're very poisonous. But thankfully, nothing happened. So we filled up this garbage can liner, trash bag, whatever you want to call it, with water. And we would just take a handkerchief and get all the leaves and the other stuff out of it and just drink straight from there. We didn't have to boil our water or any of the such. And that made it a great trip after that. So it taught me two things. I had trouble starting a fire with just a ferro rod. Nobody brought a lighter. I brought just a ferro rod. Whenever you get out there and the humidity and everything's damp from humidity, it is not the easiest way to start a fire either. So it taught me how to learn how to start a fire. Then it taught us to pre-filter our water. Now, I've been doing the pre-filter thing ever since that day. Ever since that day, I will always pre-filter my water, no matter where I'm at or what I'm doing, before I use a water filter. I am always conveying the fact that some kind of filter is great for your commercial water filters. And if you're watching the video right now, I have my book on page 112 and all the way through 112 through 117 is talking about pre-filtering your water or filtering your water. And that is coming straight out of the pages of the Primitive Camping and Bushcraft book. So, first of all, the good old hanky. That is the best method to pre-filtering your water. The good old hanky. Now, when I mentioned the pre-filtering the water and stuff like that, we're going to be getting into the skills. We're going to be getting into water in the field. That's what we're fixing to talk about now. Since that trip, I've made it a point to know a dozen different ways to get and make water safe. I can convey to you several different ways to make your water safe. One, like I just mentioned, was pre-filtering with a hanky, with a handkerchief. It allows you to strain muddy water. It allows you to get the sand, the grit, the nasty, the tadpoles, the baby dragonflies, the water bugs, all that stuff, the mosquito larvae out. And it allows all that grit and grime and nasty to be removed before you run it through your commercial water filter, thereby extending the life of your commercial water filter. Now, you could forego that. You don't even have to use a commercial water filter. You could just straight up boil that water. B-O-I-L, boil. Or in South Mississippi, you can barrel it. You can go ahead and barrel that water. I've been guilty of saying it both ways. Bring that water to a rolling boil. What temperature does water boil at? Think about it. Now, what temperature does microorganisms start to die off? The answer is 165 degrees. When you boil the water, it's 212 degrees. So by ensuring that your water is boiling, you are making sure that your water is above 165 degrees, which will kill all biological contaminants. It will not kill the chemical contaminants. It will not kill various other things to get all the chemicals and nasty out of it, but it will render it biologically safe for you to drink. It's going to taste gritty. It's going to taste nasty, but a gut full of sand is a lot better than a gut full of vomiting from a gut full of diarrhea from drinking unsafe water. Now, you could do like we did with that night. You can catch the rain. You could build a rain catch. You can use some method of collecting the water, the rain. I get it all the time. I get all kinds of comments where people are saying, but Chris, it's illegal in my state to collect the rainwater. And to that effect, I will tell you this. If I'm to the point where I need to drink something, I don't care if it's legal or not, I am going to collect some water and I am going to drink it. End of story. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you to make that decision. But being illegal to collect rainwater is stupid. That is ridiculous. That is control and power at its finest. And I'm not the biggest conspiracy theorist out there, but that is a way of controlling people into submission. Now, there's different ways to do water purification besides just boiling it. You can add chlorine from regular old Clorox. You can put in tablets. You can put in drops. You can use iodine. There's different methods on here, and I mention them all in my book, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft. I mentioned it several times in there, how to do different ways of filtrating water out in the field. You can even dig a hole next to the water source and let it seep in, do a seep well or coyote well or a gypsy well. And no, I will call it what it is. People will leave comments again. You can't believe the amount of comments I get of what I say. And people, you can't say that. Buddy, this is my show, and I'll say what I want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to say it like that, but it is. Then you could do like we had to do on another trip where we had a filter that clogged up again. A Sawyer this time, the big Sawyer, not the little bitty one, but the big one. It clogged up on day 2 of a 10-day trip, and we had to make a tripod water filter, and we used straight out of all the survival books. We used the 3 handkerchiefs, and we found some sand. Now, a lot of people will be like, yeah, but where did you find the sand from? Well, here in Mississippi, if you got water, you got sand usually in the vicinity. Let me take a big old swallow of this water. It's so hot out here that the cold water's starting to get hot. But at least it's wet. I want to back up a little bit about the rainwater. There's going to be people that talk about PFAS or PFAS forever chemicals. And these folks are going to tell you that you can't drink the rainwater because it has the forever chemicals in it. That, going back to I'm not a conspiracy theorist, a lot of people are, and a lot of people believe that the contrails, the chemtrails that they're leaving with jets and stuff's on purpose to leave chemicals in the air so it kills off people. And I'm like, man, come on, give me a break. If you can't drink the rainwater because you're scared that these forever chemicals are in it, then I'm going to go as far as to say, just like I did in my book, that all the water on Earth is contaminated with forever chemicals because it rains everywhere. All the lakes are contaminated. All the rivers are contaminated. All the ocean is contaminated. The whole world is contaminated with forever chemicals, if that is your point of view in your case. People do not realize that the water they drink out of a water bottle at the store usually comes straight out of a river and is either a reverse osmosis or some kind of chemical filtration and then bottled into the bottle. People do not believe the fact that I will say that a lot of companies out there just use straight tap water, which they do. It is crazy how people just shut up and color because they can buy their water in a plastic bottle, mind you, from a convenience store. And then they have the audacity to tell you, don't let the plastic heat up. It releases cancer-causing agents. But yet the warehouse they got the water from is not air conditioned and is hot, and they just don't realize that. They don't put two and two together. We're talking about the same kind of people that believe all food comes from the grocery store. Don't go hunting. Go to the grocery store to get your meat. It's ignorance on a mass scale. But anyway, I don't want to drift off too much further. You have to have water to survive, no matter where you are on Earth. And I am going to throw this in there, that one of the Grail GeoPress is my favorite way to filter water, no matter where I am, anywhere, at any time. The Grail GeoPress will filter your water and make it 100% drinkable and rendered safe to drink. I've used it a million times on rivers, creeks. I've used it in some very shady and sketchy places. Some very beaver pondish looking stuff. This one place in particular was a stagnant pool that I camped next to. They had alligators swimming in it and had otters all in this thing. And it was some very stagnant water, been sitting there a long time. And I used that GeoPress, and it got all the nasty out. Now, mind you, after it was over with and done, the water was so tea-stained that I had to replace the filter on the GeoPress because it started getting extremely slow. But that is standard. That is standard operating procedure with any kind of filter system, is that you have to filter it or reverse back flush it. And the GeoPress is kind of hard. It can be done. I've seen it done before. You can backwash a GeoPress. And actually, I think I've done a video on backwashing the GeoPress before. But anyway, that night that we were camping and that storm came at the perfect time. We woke up. We scrambled to get any container we could find to fill up with fresh drinking water from the rain. And boy, was it good. It was nice and cool. It was fresh. Now, rainwater has a slightly different taste than regular water. Rainwater is evaporated water, and then it condenses and it falls. And it is going to have a slightly different taste to it, but it is still water. The water that you get out of rivers, lakes, streams, creeks, stuff like that has more minerals in it, and that's why it has that taste, that signature water taste. But that storm that night taught me something even deeper too. And I really didn't learn this lesson till later on. We didn't earn that water. We couldn't buy that water. We were extremely unprepared. And honestly, we couldn't have if I had a fistful of cash, I would have paid somebody for that water in the middle of the woods. But but the metaphorically speaking, that water saved us. Here's the thing. It was freely given. Which brings me to John chapter 4 in the Bible. John chapter 4, verse 13. Jesus answered and said to her, "Whoever drinks of this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life." Jesus was talking to the woman at the well. She wasn't living her life the way she was and was supposed to. Jesus met this woman. She came with her jar every day to fill it up in the middle of the day. That way she wouldn't have to be around people, so she wouldn't be ridiculed for her life choices and stuff like that. And then Jesus said, "Everyone who drinks this water will be thirsty again. Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst." And that was perfect for this episode here, because that water that we got off of that tart was free. It was free. Just like the living water that Jesus is going to give us is free. If we drink that living water from Jesus, it's free. But we'll never thirst again if we have that water from him. But this water right here, we were thirsty again. I could drink an entire bottle of water in an hour. I could drink this out here, especially in the sun. I could drink this bottle of Nalgene water right here that I have prepared. I could drink it for, in just a few minutes, a couple of gulps. But spiritually, Jesus says he offers something different. He offers us living water, the kind that does not run out, the kind that fills you up, the kind that satisfies you. It keeps you alive when everything else leaves you dry. Now, let me ask you this. How many times have you ever drank a bottle of water, and when you drank that entire bottle because you were so thirsty, you drank that bottle of water, and when you were done, you were still thirsty. You could not quench that thirst. You could not satisfy that thirst. But when I think back to that storm that night on one of our early survival trips, I see grace. God gave what I could not make for myself. He stepped in when we could not do it for ourselves. And that's exactly what Jesus was saying to that woman and to us still today. And that's straight out of the Bible. Now we can sit and talk about that for hours. But that's going to bring us to our action step. What y'all think that's going to be? This week, I want you to take some time outdoors. I want you to collect a little bit of water. I want you to boil it and then drink it. Now, that what I'm fixing to say is going to be kind of nasty. But technically, you can boil sewage water and render it safe to drink. It's not the best for you. But this week, I want you to boil it. And I want you to drink it. I want you to purify it. I want you to drink it slow. And as you do, I want you to ask yourself, am I still trying to fill my spirit with wells that run dry? Or am I going back to the source of living water? That's deep. Get out there and practice. Practice filtering your water. Practice using a pre-water filter. A handkerchief, a millbank bag, a coffee filter will work. Something to get the grit, the ground, the nasty, the whatever it is that you don't want out of the water. Then boil it, then drink it. If you do it that way, the water's still going to taste like the source. If you run a carbon filter, the carbon's going to take the nasty flavors out of it and make it taste better than the store-bought stuff. There's no right way or wrong way to do things. I mentioned that from day one in this podcast. There's no right way or wrong way. But I'm fixing to erase that, and I'm going to tell you there is a right way and a wrong way to drink water. The right way is to make it purified, to make it drinkable. The wrong way is just to drink it straight out of the source. So I guess I'm not right whenever I say there's no right way or wrong way, huh? So that's the story from this one hot August survival trip that I took. No filter came through. We couldn't get anything to work for us. But the rain did. We ended up drinking that water straight off of the tarp, straight from the sky. That's crazy. How you collect all these stories over time, looking back on everything. All these trips turn into stories to share with people, experiences to share with people, experiences to write books about. Speaking of book, go on, head over to Amazon, pick you up a copy, or any online retailer, pick you up a copy of Primitive Camping and Bushcraft, and then head over to the Facebook page, Primitive Camping and Bushcraft. Join the community. Get involved. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this episode, these episodes. Let me know if what we're talking about is helping you in your life, spiritually, and in the great outdoors. Or is it just entertainment? Remember, in all your ways, acknowledge Him, and I'll see you next time. God bless you.
Thanks for sitting around the fire with me today. If this episode gave you something to think about, if it helped you feel a little bit more prepared, or it even stirred your faith a tiny bit, go ahead and share it with someone else who might need it as well. We don't go camping to run away from life. We come out here to slow down and recharge. So grab another log, throw it on the fire, and remember this. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He will direct your path. I'll see you next time. God bless you.